Good morning, everybody. And we can see that people are joining the session. That's a good sign. It means that our Zoom webinar works well. If you could say hello on the chat, we appreciate your activity. We will see if you can hear us, if you can see us. That would be good to hear from you on the chat. Okay. More people joining. We have first hello. Hello, Ivana. Nice to have you here. Okay, super. I think we can shortly start. So officially, let's kick this off. Hello, everybody. I'm Paula Milewska, and I'm a Customer Success Manager for Central Eastern Europe for Elsevier. And today, with me is our guest, Christian Wier, who is our expert on engineering portfolio. Hello, Christian.
Hello.
Hello. So today our topic is very refreshing because we will have everything about what's new, what's coming, what kind of new exciting features you can use in Knovel. Christian is our engineering and geosciences expert. He's working at Elsevier more than 8 years. And please take this opportunity to connect with him today during the session because he has wide experience with academic and government customers, but also within the corporate markets. From my end, I just want to highlight that you will receive the recording of this session, and of course, I will send it to you via email. Also, you will be able to download a certificate of attendance in this training if this is something that you need. So afterwards, till the end of this week, you will receive email coming from me with the recording and also with the opportunity to download certificates. Thank you very much for joining, and I'm leaving you in good hands. Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you very much for setting up this webinar and inviting me. Yeah, thank you to all of you for joining today's session. And as Paula just said, we will have a look at the core features, the core functionality, the content you get through Knovel, but also on the recent enhancement. And I also will give you, a quick update on the next steps that we are planning in Knovel. Big keyword here is AI, what's coming in here. I do not have a timeline for you yet, but I can already tell you we are working on it. But before we all go into these recent updates, again, I want to reiterate the value you get through Knovel, give you some foundation information around it and how you access some tips and tricks from my end that I personally believe are very handy. But overall, my main goal for today is to encourage you, if you're a first-time user, to come to Knovel, to test it, to try it on things you don't know yet, and see how fast you can bring yourself up to speed through Knovel. We also have a look at different subject areas. I also prepared a couple of searches that I believe are maybe interesting, but again, you don't have to follow my searches. Search for things that you are interested in. And if you have access again, then maybe you have also a second screen. You can open it and also search along with me. So I was planning to present for approximately 45 minutes, and the rest of the time then I want to spend on answering your questions, or if you want to see something again that maybe was a little bit too brief or too fast, then we can certainly do that as well. And we have the chat box, of course. Yeah, drop your questions during the presentation. Paula can interrupt me if she thinks it's a good moment to stop to take some questions, and otherwise also in the end. If questions pop up later, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, maybe, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. But I'll also show you how to access our support center, where you get access to video tutorials, for example, but you can also get an idea how different things work and how you can also find the answer to your questions in this support center. Yeah. I'm doing this for more than 8 years, as Paula already said. I worked previously with a lot of corporate customers as well. So I know also of the importance for you as a student, for example, and you would like to work as an engineer later after your graduation, and chances are rather high that you will also see a tool like Knovel again when you're really working on the corporate side, because it's in some companies considered really as the to-go point if you have a question and you do not know the answer to, and for example, one of your colleagues is not available, then you have an excellent way of getting the answer from Knovel. So we are in the middle of the introduction. We will continue with a short PowerPoint presentation. I also want to show you a video, which I usually do in these sessions. And previously we watched a video around how to design a bicycle. So that could, for example, be a design project in one of your engineering courses. Today I brought a different one, a different tutorial, and we will have a look at the chemical engineering project, specifically in how to brew beer. Might be interesting for you as well. And we will continue then with a live demonstration. Oh, sorry, that was not my intention. I need to go back. We have a look at a live demonstration. I can't get my my spotlight not to work for some reason. Yeah, anyway, we will go into the live demo. And then again, we have time for questions and answers. It's a rather short deck today. I just wanted to highlight the recent developments in here. If you need more foundation information, there are recordings for that from our previous sessions, and you can also, of course, watch those recordings. Yeah, Knovel in a nutshell. So you get access through Knovel to content from 170 different content partners. So content partners, I mean other publishers, for example, but also content from societies. As you can see here, I've listed a few. I tried the spotlight again. Oh, the laser pointer is working now. So you see, I've listed a few logos here. Some you might know, some you maybe not, but that's perfectly fine. Good to know for you, it's all trustworthy content, so you do not have to question the quality of the content here. We did that for you, so the content is curated. So we added into Knovel to make your life easier. So you get access to all these publishers, content providers through just one platform, through Knovel in this case. And you might have seen some, for example, Wiley is also very well known. Also in the academic side, Springer Nature we added last year, so this was also one of the highlights from the last year. So we, by the way, also keep on adding more and more content now, also in multiple languages. So since the initial release, we also now added a lot of titles in German language because we had them available. But this multilingual approach we are also having is really coming more dominant and prominent this year. So we keep on adding content in multiple languages. Later in the live demo, I also show you how you can take advantage of that. But the majority of the items, of the content items in Knovel is still English language. So we keep on adding more content year over year, and to give you an indication, between 8 and 10% we increase the content on the platform. And we're also focusing on hot topics. And if you see on the left hand side, newly expanded content areas, what we're really focusing on is energy storage, of course, very important, fuel cells and batteries, renewable energy. So sustainability, also very big topic, and it was really one of the folky last year. So we really add more and more content around it. And technologies, process safety, additive manufacturing, circular economy, durability of materials, AI, obviously very important topic. So you would not immediately think the Knovel also has content around data or data sciences on the platform, but it is there, and I will also show you where to find it. And computer security and packaging. I also, before we continue, wanted to run a quick poll, and I want to know if you used Knovel before. So I launched this poll now, and if everything went well, then you should see in Zoom now a pop-up asking you the question. Did you use Knovel before? And I give you 3 options here. The first option is no, I never used it before, which is perfectly fine. Huh? We all need to start at some point. Second option is yes, I used Knovel a few times, project-based. And the third option is yes, I use Knovel often, weekly, monthly, for example. And from what I can see, we have a nice mix here, although the majority are still first-time users. Great, I leave it on for a few more seconds and then we stop. But thanks for participating here, and I leave it with it. Okay, we have a good mix. So, but indeed, most of you never used it before. Again, if you have questions, reach out to us or watch the previous recordings. The last session we hosted a few weeks ago was really also a hands-on session where I ask you to do certain workflows and come back with the results to me. Maybe also interesting for you. So thanks. I will end the poll now and we will continue. So this then for you, for the first time users, so this is what you get, and also a good reminder for those who use it more often. And these 170 content partners is not static. We keep on growing, and as you probably know, Knovel is now 25 years old, and we started with just a handful of publishers, and it's kept on growing over the last years. And if everything goes well, we keep on also growing and provide you even with more content. So for those who never used it before, next to all the full text content, also good to know you get full text on Knovel. We have also a material property search, and I will also show you an example later on the platform. So if you're looking for specific materials or substances, you can go into the material property search, you choose your material substance or you leave the box empty, and you work with the properties here on the right-hand side and drag and drop them here into the middle. And in an ideal scenario, of course, after filtering and reviewing the information you get in tabular format, you will hopefully find a material or substance that suits your needs. This functionality is also highly valued in the corporate business, since you can imagine more and more companies, they're trying to produce under immense cost pressure. So the question is here, can we produce a certain product cheaper with alternative raw materials? And this is an ideal way of taking advantage of the tabular information that are on Knovel, because this is basically then taken from all the content sources, from all the full text, and we digitize the tables and add them into this material property search. A result could look like this. So you also have a simplified Microsoft Excel functionality in here. So you can sort, for example, you can remove columns and then also export on what you are looking for. So this is how a table would look like. And again, you can manipulate the data in here, and then you can also export these. This is also something that is new. So we fully redesigned our interactive graphs. So this gives you a sharper view now, and you have an easy overview on what you can actually change in here. So we have here the x-axis and y-axis. In some cases, you can also change the units in here, and then you can go over here, hover over here, and pick up your data points, and you will add these data points here to the left into this table. And of course, you can export your information. So if you want to present the graphs here in a slide deck, if you want to present a project, for example, you can do that as well. And you can also get the Excel information basically right into Excel here on the left-hand side. So this is fully rebuilt over the last month. This way of interacting with our graphs, and we will also release next month another release, so to say, and that will really help you to interact with this content easier. Knovel equation solver. So if you want to go and calculate something, it's always worth to come into Knovel, because we offer you over 3,000 different equations. So you can just come here, open an equation, change your variables, and you get the result in just a few seconds here. And we, of course, have the My Knovel section. So this is where you can, first of all, save content for yourself. You can also set up folders. Think of a folder for your thesis, for example, or for a capstone project, or for just a presentation you have to prepare, or if you're a teacher and you want to share information with your whole course through Knovel, that can be done as well. So you can set up your folders here on the left-hand side, and then you share these folders with your students in a course. Or you can also set up title list with content pieces from Knovel, add them into this folder, and then get it also out into a learning management system if you would like to do that. What's new? So we have the engineering newsfeed. It's not that new anymore, but I keep on presenting it because I believe there's a great value in that, because it's updated hourly. So every hour we put new information into this engineering newsfeed, and you get a global view on a news topic and see what's basically now hot and cooking. And I will also show you that in the live demo later on. So something that you get in addition to all the full text titles on Knovel from these publishers and societies is the news feed. Springer Nature we added, and we keep also adding a new other titles. And again, we just released a new set of titles from Springer Nature, mostly in German language, that can also be discovered from now on. We have also the engineering overviews, and I will also show you one later. They can be used in teaching and learning, or just for yourself. If you want to bring yourself up to speed on a certain topic, you can start with these engineering overviews. We introduced also new facets a while ago for industry searches. So if you're also interested in very specific industries, you can set a filter on the industry, and that will also help you very much in limiting your effort to evaluate the search results here. So if you're, for example, you're interested only in a certain term in the chemical industry, then you can also set the filter right here, and you will exclude most of the irrelevant content. Then in the next step helps you then go faster through your search results. Project management, also something I will demo later in the platform, because I believe there is an added value for you to also learn project management, because although you might be studying and you might not need it immediately after your graduation, and if you really aspire a career either in the academic sector or then also in the corporate sector, project management you will come across that after all, and it's very good to have at least foundational knowledge around project management. But obviously you can also prepare yourself for a PMI, PMP, and Prince2 certification with these titles. So also something I did when I was still studying next to my studies, and it helped me very much when I tried to find a job, my first job basically, then with this type of knowledge around project management. Multiple languages, again, is still on the agenda, and we keep on extending the language options here. So we added now specifically this book, this PM book guide around project management. So it's the go-to book. We have it now available in French, German, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Arabic, Portuguese, and Russian. And I will also quickly show you on how to switch between these languages. But more and more titles will come in different languages. Yeah, throughout 2025. And I believe this is also a long-term project. So we will also in the next year adding multiple titles in different languages. I mentioned it earlier, Knovel is now 25 years old. And you see, we started here in 2001. That also was way before my time before I joined Elsevier. And it's also now part of Elsevier, I think, since 2009. And yeah, it was basically just a test in the beginning. If there's an interest and need for a solution that helps, engineers, so real life engineers with these type of information around engineering, or also for STEM education, if there's a need for a platform like that. And yeah, you see the success over the years. So we keep on adding more and more publishers and also more and more content items. We have now more than 14,000 full text titles on the platform if you have access to everything that is available on Knovel. Okay, a last slide, and then we go into the platform. Something I always share, it's from the industry. One research engineer shared the quote, and I know how much we all love using Google and with all its functionalities. But it's, if you're looking for trustworthy information in STEM or specifically in engineering, you need to be sure that you're using high quality content and not just some random information off the internet, because what can happen is really health, safety, and environmental issues if you just use unreliable information, and by all means, we want to avoid that. But he told us that in Knovel, you do the same thing you do with Google, but in Knovel, you know, it's exact something you can trust. Sometimes you find things on the internet you cannot trust. So this is the big difference here. So keep that in mind. Keep on using Google to book your flights if you want to go somewhere, or your train tickets, or a hotel, or Airbnb. But if you're really looking for reliable information, why don't you just start on Knovel and see what's in there? If you still want to use these search engines like Google, and you found something you believe it could be interesting, maybe you come to Knovel or even to Science Direct, to Scopus, to Engineering Village, to really check the reliability and see if this is really something you can use. Yeah. Next up, we have the video I promised you, Chemical Engineering Project Brewing Beer. This shows you how Knovel can be used in teaching and learning, so in the classroom. And I will also show you where to find this video. You can find it here on the engineering, or on the library guides for engineering. So we have them for Knovel as well. And this is also something I will put into the chat box in just a minute. I will do that right away. But first, I want to show you how this video looks like, and I prepare it here. And enjoy watching it. I will be back in approximately 4 minutes. Feel free to also drop questions in the meantime. So I will start the video. Enjoy.
For your students to succeed, they need to learn how to get the information they need to independently solve real-life problems, big and small. Let's say that for their design project, they want to learn how to brew beer. They need to understand the physical and chemical processes, and the tools required, the materials used, and much more. This is a scientific project that starts with an idea. Let's make a brewery. But students need to go back to basics. They don't know anything about the beer brewing process, so they need to find reliable reference works to determine precisely what it is they will do and what steps they will need to take. Then they need to model the brewing process. Let's begin. In Knovel, search for beer brewing. The first results are key reference books. Selected chapters help students dig deeper into the steps they need to think about, painting the picture of the process flow diagram, as well as the steps needed to build the brewery. This chapter contains a diagram that explains the process of turning barley into malt, as well as a second figure that helps the student identify and scope out extent of the deliverables they need to shoot for. Additional peer-reviewed content can help them verify this information and identify the specific parameters they need to account for. There are also tools to facilitate citing the information. Here is how this translates into a simple PFD. Barley goes in, process name, malting. Result, malt. Malt goes through different processes to become wort. Then wort goes into the fermenter and beer comes out. Then beer goes into carbonation and packaging and results in a sellable product. Let's focus on the first process, barley turning into malt. When looking that up in Knovel, the student can learn more about the process. The first section shows specific information about what to start with. moisture levels, how much water needs to be lost in the system, etc. The PFD can be updated to reflect this information and would now look like this. The process starts with the drying of the barley. Again, searching in Knovel, the student can find dedicated resources for drying and storage of cereal grains and use the insights to plan the process further. When it comes to what fermentation tank to use, it is essential to understand which materials can host a fermentation process. Using property search, students can look up fermenters and find documents around compositions of engineering alloys, then select a material such as stainless steel type 302. This material itself can also be run in the property search, which delivers the properties of stainless steels. With Knovel, students can design a process from start to finish, just as they would in industry, using information from trusted sources which professors can verify. Find out more at elsevier.com/Knovel.
So I hope you enjoyed this video showing you a workflow in Knovel for this design project. If you would like to watch this video again, or you want to share it with anyone, you could go to the engineering to the Elsevier LibGuides, and I just pasted this URL into the chat box, so you can take it from there. And what you get here is an overview on what Knovel actually is. So a little bit of what I explained in the last minutes, getting started and access, using Knovel, save and share, and also how to get training and support. And if you want to, again, watch this video again, we have two of them. One is about how to design a bicycle, and the other one is the chemical engineering project with Knovel, so how to brew beer in this case, and you can watch them here again. So feel free to bookmark also the link I just gave you in the chat box, so elsevier.libguides.com, and yeah, browse around, share it with somebody who could benefit of access to Knovel, for example, or if you work in the library, feel free also to link to our LibGuides from your library. We have them for many different solutions here. We have 8 guides for Engineering Village, Funding Institution, Knovel, Mendeley, and so on and so forth, but also, of course, for Science Direct and Scopus. This is the first thing I wanted to show you. And now we have a look in Knovel. If you have access, feel free to browse with me. You can get access through your library. And if you're within the IP ranges and IP authentication is active, then you can just go to app.knovel.com or just take the second link I now pasted into the chat box. And here we have an overview on the engineering content for study and research on Knovel. It gives you, again, an idea on how it can be used. And we have also some video tutorials listed here, Knovel overview and the interactive tools. And we have also some case studies listed here from all around the globe. So feel free to have a look. You can also start searching from here, but you can always, of course, come back to the little house here in the left upper corner. And I see that my spotlight is gone here again. Let's try again. In the left upper corner is the little house, and then you can start exploring Knovel from here. So the very first thing I wanted to show you for our users that use Knovel more often is the browse tile here on the left-hand side. And if you click here on browse, you get the overview of all the subject areas that are available. So you might not see all of them since you might have a little bit of a limited subscription, but this is the overview of all the subject areas here. And it starts here with adhesives, coating, seal, and inks, and it goes to W for welding, engineering, and materials joining, and some other interesting subject areas could be like aerospace and radar technology, chemistry and chemical engineering, We also support the earth sciences. Might not be that obvious since we're talking here most of the time of an engineering platform, but can really also used in a wider sense in STEM education. And again, we have also geo-related information here, like for the earth sciences, but also food sciences are covered very well in here. Also general engineering and project administration. But also we support information around the pharmaceuticals and cosmetical industries, oil and gas engineering, non-destructive testing, and I believe you get the idea what's in here, but also software engineering, textiles, sustainable energy and development. So there's a lot to discover in here. And of course, we have premium offerings here on the right-hand side. If you have further questions around those, feel free to let me know. What I wanted to show you is the tab for newly added content, which is probably not very well known, but here you get the overview of what has been added. Oh yeah, before we do that, it's probably also handy to show you what's behind those subject areas. And if we, for example, go now into, let's say we are interested in aerospace and radar technology, we click on the subject area, and now we get an overview of the content that's actually listed in here. So we have here in total 806 references and 361 equations only in aerospace and radar technology. And from here, you could now go into these content items and have a look. Or you can also sort them here on the right-hand side. They are now sorted from A to Z, but for example, also by novel release date. And here you see that we have also very recent publications from 2025 on Knovel. For example, this first title here, Deep Reinforcement Learning for Reconfigurable Intelligent Surfaces in UAV-Empowered Smart 6G Communications, or multidimensional radar imaging, things like that. And you see also as an indication, so this is a new title, might be interesting to have a look. So it's not only content from the previous years, we also make an effort to add more recent content and also always give you the latest edition if available. So this way you can browse also through the subject areas and get to a title you might be interested in. But now to the newly added content. You just seen it. It has a ribbon with new on, and here you can see the overview of all the newly added titles. And if we're, for example, now looking at, now let's have a look now at a different subject area. Maybe we go indeed for software engineering and see what's in there. We see here we have the principles of computer sciences, an invigorating hands-on approach, machine learning and hybrid modeling for reaction engineering. Yeah, and this is again all available as full text. And if you want to then start reading one, you click on the title and then you go into the table of contents here. And this is, for example, a title then from the IET, from the Institution of Engineering and Technology from 2025. You get the table of contents here, and now you can decide where you want to start. And we also give you, is also not very well known, also a tip from me. Have a look onto the left-hand side. We also give you a box telling you what's the new in software engineering, and maybe there's another title that might be interesting, and you can open it just from here. But if you then want to read a title of choice, and maybe we go into a chapter here, it's just one more click away, and then you go into the reading mode and you can start reading the abstract here, and you can go through the full text further down and you can start reading rather easily. You can also enlarge, makes it easier to read, as you can see. And if you see something that is interesting, you can also highlight the text here. And you can add a note if you like. Click on Add Note, and here on the right-hand side, say, for example, this is interesting for a for your thesis. And you can color code your notes. You add a note here on the right-hand side, and when you come back later, could be after lunch, next week, next year, you will still see what you've just highlighted here. So that's why it's also important to log yourself into Knovel. If you have an existing account with Science Direct Scopus, you can really just use password and username from there, and you have also access to Knovel, and you can also save things then into your own account here. We can also save on Knovel, and if you want to save this and we want to set up a new folder, then we can also create a new folder here. And I'm calling this folder now, yeah, I call it thesis. Oh, this, and I create this, and I can add this resource in here, and I have this one chapter added now. And I can add more content. For example, if I'm then using the browser navigation, I go one step back, and maybe there is another chapter in here. We can open that. And if you would like to add this chapter as well, because we believe it's interesting and relevant, then we again click here on save. And we now do not create a new folder. We just take our existing folder we just created. Yep. And we add this resource. And you see, we've just added another resource in here. And we can continue reading, and we can have a look later on and evaluate. Citation, there's a button for that. Click on Cite, export it in the desired format. And we can also download from here. We can share, and we can also open it as a PDF. So this is one way to go into content on a Knovel. It's, again, you go through the browse tile. You can just browse through the subject areas and see what's interesting, or you can open the newly added content. So this is what we just did, and take it from there. There's also, under tools and content, an overview of all the different tools we have. As you know, we have the material property search, the unit converter, the Steam calculators, also the browser plugin. It's, by the way, also included in your subscription. You can just add it, and then you get a little KN logo in your browser in the right upper corner. If we still have time, I will show it. Otherwise, feel free to discover it on your own. A periodic table, an equation worksheet, and also search widget. And if you scroll further down, you also see the engineering overviews I briefly touched on during the PowerPoint presentation. And if you want to discover one of those topics here, like pathways to net zero, and if this is interesting, you just click on here and you get a nice overview of this topic. We get an introduction, the top industry searches on the right-hand side, and then the trending research here, scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions. And then we can also focus on the reading list here. So we prepared that for you, so it makes it much easier for you to go in here and read about, for example, sustainable energy technologies. And then we have also the full text titles listed here: biomass, biofuels, biochemicals, the circular bioeconomy. Might be interesting. If you want to read it, again, just one click away, you click on read. And if you want to then go into one of these chapters here, biomass, the fuel and chemicals enabling technologies, click on here. And then you go into the reading mode again, and you can start reading from here. You have the options again to save it, and maybe we do that again. We have our thesis folder here, and we save it to this folder, and we have then added another item in here. If you would like to search on Knovel, there are two, or there are actually more than two ways, but I want to maybe show you the two common ways. So we have this one box, one search box here. So, and you can enter reference data, graphs, tables, equations. You will get results once available. And if you're, for example, interested now in project management, so it's really just typing your keywords in here, and you see Knovel is prompting me already with these type of keywords. And I could start right away here with project management guide, project managers at work, so project management toolbox. And I just want to see how many results I get for project management. and I search now for project management, and I see that I have more than 5,600 results. That's of course a lot. So it's also now about filtering out what's relevant, what's irrelevant. So I can now go here to the left-hand side and see the different content types that are covered. So of course we have books on Knovel, case studies, something that is also not new, but we keep on focusing on adding new case studies. This could be very interesting for you as a student if you really want to see a real life case study. So how would an engineer solve this in a corporate setting, for example? So this is something I also highly recommend to explore, so you get a better understanding on how this can be used later in real life. You can filter on chapter, but also for those who use Knovel frequently, two relatively new filters, also conference papers and conference proceedings. We had these content types before on the platform, but they were not very easily discoverable. That's why we have these two filters now added since a few months now, but also graphs, regulatory information, tables are in here. If we scroll further down, we also can filter by relevant or related engineering concepts here. So I now had a search for project management, and I get now prompted with related concepts, and I can filter down on, for example, benchmarking process, earned value analysis, performance measurements, and so on. And I can also use the industry filter that is also relatively new, as I explained also earlier in the slide deck. Then I can filter down on a certain industry already, so that helps me filter or go through my results and evaluate them much easier, because my set of results is just smaller than it would have been without this industry filter. So this is also something our more experienced users might not have seen. So the industry filter, also the case study filter, and also the conference papers and the conference proceedings in here. Something I recommend in trying. So now we can filter down, or we can also add Boolean operators here in the search box. And I also want to, for example, see the results for the PM book and project management. And now I can filter down on the books only. It's just checking the box, applying the filter. And then I have a guide to the product management body of knowledge guide, the 7th edition. And if I want to open it, I click on here. And why I'm opening this one, because I personally believe it can be of added value for you to learn about project management. And the second one is, of course, showing you different languages and how you can access. So if we have a title available in different languages, you get, of course, the title, metadata that comes with it, and also here the language selector, so to say. So in you can just change into a different language. So you would go to German, see it in German, or you go to French, Français, and you see it in here. And you can read then the full text in different languages. So if you come across this, that means titles are available in different languages, also relatively new. And again, we keep on adding more and more titles to this. Okay, so if you now see a chapter again here, and I had this question before, is there not a functionality that AI can summarize a chapter? And it's not yet there. So this is definitely something we're also working on. While we have many AI-powered solutions running in the background to also prepare the content for you, it will be user-facing at some point. I can't give you a timeline here, since we have, of course, to deal with more than 170 different societies and publishers, so it takes quite some time to get that set up properly. But there will be functionalities, so AI-powered functionalities for the end user, for you in this case, at some point. And another reason why it takes a little longer, we need to do it right. We need to be 100% sure that you get the right answer out of here. Because if you're working as an engineer later on for process safety, for example, and you just use a summarization functionality than a Knovel, we need to make sure you get 100% the right advice in this AI-powered solution to make the right decisions. Because as I said initially, if you take the wrong decision, you take the wrong material, it can really cause health, safety, and environmental issues. So to answer your question, yes, there will be functionalities like this, like you've probably seen on Science Direct and on Scopus, also for Knovel, but it takes a little more time, but it will be there at some point. Okay, so this was another thing I wanted to mention here. If you go into my Knovel, so that's here a tile on the left-hand side, and here you go again to my Knovel and you get a dedicated tab then. And we've just opened we just created our thesis folder here, and this is where you would access your whole your folders. And here we see the items we added here. So what can you do here? And this is something I want to recommend to you if you're working in a group, in a group project, for example. Add content you found to a folder. And we can also rename it from here. So maybe we're going to name it group project. And we want to invite fellow students to that. Then we can share this folder from here. We can add the email addresses. So I can also add all your email addresses to this folder if you like, and I can grant you full access or read-only access in here. So if I grant you full access, you will also be able to contribute to this folder. Makes it much easier for us to work as a team. The other thing is if you're in teaching and learning, and if you're regularly standing in front of a course, you can add titles in here, and then you can export it rather easily into a learning management system. Because with this one click, I do it again, if you click here on export for LMS, you can export a title list that you've just created your Knovel. And you can integrate it into Moodle, Blackboard, or Canvas if you like. And then basically it's clear what kind of titles need to be read in order to prepare yourself for a new course or be ready for the end of term exam, for example. So this is another tip I want to give you at this point. Going back to the homepage on the little house here in the left upper corner, the advanced search is another way of approaching content. If you click here on this button, advanced search, then you get more than just that one box. And here you can search for the author, the publisher, and here we also give you advice on how to create your search. And I will also put that just in the chat box. So you have that also on file, so that you, for example, put exact phrases into quotes. You see them here. Or you can use the asterisk or the question mark for single letters. And you can use Boolean operators, for example. But if you're interested in content from a certain publisher, then you can use also just the publisher field here. And you're interested, for example, in everything from Wiley, and you just type it in here and you search, and then you get all the titles. So we have more than 1,000 results here, only full text titles from Wiley in this case. And you can go through here and see, for example, the Handbook of International Electrical Safety Practices, Management Essentials for Civil Engineers, also very much interesting. Civil Engineers Handbook of Professional Practice. So this way you can also discover content by publisher if you like, or if you want to see everything that was then recently added from Springer. I add an asterisk here, and then you see the more than 350 titles from Springer in here. Another thing I wanted to show you is the property search, just briefly. So we go here on the property search. That means we're interested in materials or substances. So in the slide that you've seen, we can just easily search for stainless steel, for example, and properties around elasticity or density. Or we can also search for chemicals here, octafluoropropane. We search for it. So you can also use Cas numbers here or molecular formulas. Knovel understands the language. And if you want to see the vapor pressure for octafluoropropane, then we can go here to the right-hand side and we drag and drop it here in the middle. And then we can see the results And I'm open one of the results now to show you how the equation plotter, so this is one of our interactive visual tools, looks like now. So this is all redesigned. So this is new now from a year ago. So it's much clearer. And you can now, for example, here see the vapor pressure and the temperature. And we see that we have the X unit, so the temperature in degrees Celsius. If you want to change that, you could just come in here and change it to degree Fahrenheit. And now with one more click, it's basically done. So you have temperature in Fahrenheit and not in Celsius anymore. Same goes for the pressure here. You can change it easily to a more common unit like bar. One more click and you see it in bar in here. And then you can go and hover over this graph and you can add your data points in here. And this is much more precise and easy for you to pick up. If you want to export it, that can be done, or you can just save it into, again, our group project folder that we just renamed. Oh, sorry for that. Group project. And we add this resource here. So that can also be done not only with text, but also with the type of graph. And if you want to export it, that can be done. You click on export. And then maybe I show you the graph with my data points there as a JPEG. Click on here. No, it's oh, it's not exporting this at the moment for me. Need to check that. And you can also export the data points I picked up here into Excel format, and that is working. And then you can open it, and I just want to quickly show you how it would look like. And you have then the data points here from our table 12. So this is another thing I wanted to highlight here. So this is fully redesigned, and there's a little bit more coming also with the next release in June. If you get stuck, if you don't know what to do anymore, there's always a little tutorial video here available that can guide you through the different functionalities. And maybe I give you the overview in the support center after all. So there's a support center button up here. You click on it, and here we have the top 10 frequently asked questions. And here, where can I find video tutorials for Knovel? And I understand that it could be rather overwhelming if this is the first time you've seen all these functionalities, but here you can work yourself through at your own pace. And I also add this into the chat box now. Take it from there, bookmark this page, and here you get a tutorial, an overview, my Knovel, search a Knovel, material property search, and so on and so forth. Back to Knovel, and I want to, give you some time for questions now. So again, we have more to discover. We have the equations here. We have a unit converter. Under more tools, I highly recommend install the Knovel browser extension if you have access to Knovel, and if you're using Chrome or Edge, because if you are still used to Google, you will also see a pop-up from Knovel telling you, hey, there's also reliable information. There are reliable information available on Knovel, so you don't have to spend hours on Google trying to search what you're looking for. And of course, we have the engineering news feed available. Yeah, maybe this is the last thing I show you. If you click on the little house in the left upper corner, and now we have these boxes on the end of this website, and here's the engineering news feed. And here again, click on it, and you get engineering news separated of now filtered by the industry. Here on the left-hand side, we have also one for education and learning, and you can see then it was updated really hourly. The last one came in 2 hours ago, and feel free to play around with this as well. And we have also different languages in here. So this is also something that, might be interesting for you. Okay, let me summarize. You have access to Knovel and a lot of different subject areas. They can be found under Browse. In total, roughly 14,000 full-text titles. Everything is full-text. Access to 170 different publishers. feel free to search. This is the basic search, and we have also an advanced search in here. If you get stuck at any point, have a look at all these introduction videos and tutorials we have available on the website. It helps you to navigate through the user interface easier. Property search, we had a look at. We also had a look at My Knovel, where you can organize your folders, for example. And we have more to discover, the equations to don't quote the more tools. But my aim is really next time you have a question, you do not know the answer, try Knovel instead of Google and see how easy you can find reliable information. And you can just cite them very easily from here. And it's something you can trust and not just random information of the internet. 4 minutes left. Do we have any questions, or do you want to see something again? I'm happy to do that.
Actually, we have one question on the Q&A, Christian, and it's a little bit in relation to what you just said about trusted information and how to make a decision based on the sources. So the question we have on the Q&A is, do you think that we should use AI to take decisions? It's a general question, but maybe you have any comment on that, on the engineering area here.
It's a fantastic question, and this is a highly discussed questions. And I last year went to the Cephi conference. I don't know if you know that, so it's very interesting. It was also discussed there. So AI in teaching will be there. It will come into all spaces in there. We just getting started with that. So, and what I understand from there, from a set of professors globally in teaching and learning, they said, yeah, it will be there. And you can, of course, also use it, but you are responsible in the end for what you publish, what you write, what you submit. So in the end, you can use it, but you need to go through, you need to make sure it's really accurate and something that is really also based on scientific sources in this case. So you can use it, but in the end, it's your responsibility. So you need to have a good feeling. And I also had another discussion on my vacation, by the way, with a professor from Germany, and he told me that there's a trend that more and more of the students, they're using AI throughout the year to get an easy way through. But when it comes to the end of term and there's an examination, so there's an exam they have to go through, they're not allowed to use these tools. And that's when some are really, we will be woken up in a bad way and they will fail the exam. And that can be really a negative thing. So you can't really rely only on AI throughout the term and then expect that you can also use it in your exam. So this is another thing you should take into consideration here. So what I understood from the Cephi conference, and this is also my personal take, hey, use it, but in the end, you are responsible for what you write in your thesis, in your report, in your articles you want to publish. So it needs to be, it needs to make sense. Paula, do you have something to add here?
Maybe just one comment from me personally, because we are talking about engineering, and this is also very important to make sure that what you're writing and what you're discovering is based on the trusted information, because your outcomes can really impact people, like living humans that can be hurt, for example, because you used not proper material or something. So just keep it in mind. It's not only, virtual, let's say, discussion. It also impacting a real life. So that's the only comment from me. And thank you very much, Christian, for the insights about this topic as well. Okay, guys, I don't see other questions, but I am sending you a very, very short survey. So if you could kindly give us a little piece of feedback about the sessions with Christian, we will appreciate it. It's just like 1-2 minutes. Only one question is mandatory, and we really want to hear back from you. So please click on the link on the chat, and we appreciate your activity. Yeah, I think we are ready to finish and close up. So thank you, Christian, once again for the session and for this nice wrap up at the end. I hope it was helpful for you. And just to repeat what we already announced, you will get an email with follow-up informations till the end of the week. It will include all of the recordings. We had 4 webinars in the session, so you will be able to go back to any of those topics that Christian provided for you. And I will also include information on how to generate certificate of attendance. Thank you so much and have a nice week. And we are encouraging you to use Knovel as
Absolutely.
always. Go there, test it, check it, and we hope you will like it.
Great. Thanks for joining also from my end, and have fun using Knovel, and maybe we see each other again in one of the next sessions. Thanks and have a good day and week. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.